Welcome back to another video from Insectech's Android Application Penetration Testing course. In this video we are going to see improper session handling. So basically this kind of attacks come into picture for various reasons. I have listed out few among them. The first one is the session ID is compromised. If the session ID is compromised, session related attacks will actually occur. An attacker can use your session ID to impersonate the session, and the session ID is not invalidated properly in the backend. So let's say you are developing an application and you are invalidating the session at the client side rather than the backend. So still the backend session is active, so anyone can simply log into your application with your session and use it. Now insecure token creation is another problem, and session timeouts are not implemented properly. So if you don't implement session timeouts properly, there is a predefined set of session timeout. So there is a predefined amount of time in which you have to invalidate your session if it is idle. So that is there in OWASP website. It is you can quickly go ahead and see that. So these are a few scenarios where your session of your applications can be compromised. So in my case, I'm going to quickly show you the source code of one example where I am not invalidating the session properly. So I have developed a very simple application which I'll show you. Right, vulnerable applications, session management. So this is one application that I have developed. So let me show you the source code. So if you see this, logout activity is the one. So I'm using web service for this. So basically, if the user logs in, if the user enters the right username and password, basically, let me show this. Yeah, if the user is actually entering the right username and password, the remote server will actually creates a session for the user and sends a string called true. Now if this particular value which is coming from the server is true, the client side, just for usability reasons, performance reasons, we are actually setting this particular value inside this shared preferences. Right, so when you are creating a value true in shared preferences, for the next time when you need to use the same session, rather than going ahead and hitting the server, we are just checking at the client side. If this value is true, you are actually having a valid session. Now if you clearly observe this logout activity, the moment someone hits this particular logout button, as you can see this, he is just making this particular value false. That's it. But he is not this particular code doesn't actually send anything to the server to invalidate the session at the server side. Rather, he is completely destroying the session at the client side. Okay, this is a problem. So even if you make the value false in your shared preferences, your session will actually be available at the server side. So an attacker who gains physical access to your device can actually change this particular value false to true, and again he can actually use your session because the session is still valid at the server side. Right, so this is how session management attacks actually work. This is a typical example, which it's a real world example. Facebook for iOS application used to be vulnerable to this kind of attack. Right, so this is how session management attacks work on mobile applications. This is a simple example. There could be a lot of other possibilities as well. Right, so that's all I have in mind for this video. Thanks for watching it. Thanks a lot.